Hello and welcome to episode 2, part 4 of Conversational Pressure, the podcast show with Eb and D. We will be continuing our discussion of personal values and how to develop an action plan to help with developing and executing your life goals. Please join us as we provide different outlooks, share our truths, encourage listeners, help nurture, heal, and inspire, Lord, and inspire, all while making you laugh and sometimes cry, but ultimately giving you hope. Lord, I might need to spit this gum out. So, we're here again, another week. How you been?
Good. I don't have any.
Okay.
How about you?
No complaints. Feeling good, looking good. We started our little gym regimen. Let me take a little off the front of it. We started our gym regimen. We one day in. Give us our props.
Yes. Take those small wins.
But no, overall, everything is what it is.
Yeah. That, the first step is most times the hardest. So we've taken that. So.
Yeah, we actually got up at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, that was a big step.
That was big five. Big five.
So this week we're going to continue in developing an action plan. Last week we discussed developing a positive mindset, overcoming self-doubt, building self-confidence, setting healthy boundaries, and improving communication skills through active listening. This week we're going to continue with dealing with imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? I am tongue-tied today. Imposter syndrome is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. People suffering from imposter syndrome may be at increased risk of anxiety. I can see that. I can see that.
Never think.
Yeah. And that kind of definitely falls in developing a positive mindset, overcoming self-doubt, building self-confidence. So it's all on the same wave.
Yeah.
Have you ever dealt with imposter syndrome?
Yeah. I still do sometimes.
It's needed sometimes.
Yeah. I still do sometimes. I'm the type of person that feel like I gotta know everything. And if I don't know everything, and I feel like I don't know enough.
Yeah.
I
can see that.
Even knowing that I can't know everything or I don't need to know everything, it's just, I guess I've been like that, and it's like intentional thinking to get myself out of it. Yeah, and it stresses you out. So I can understand how people that suffers with that could have anxiety. Put you on edge. You're always trying to achieve, trying to do more, and what you've done is never enough. So you're not even taking those small wins and giving yourself that pat on the back, or taking, that you've succeeded in the area, because you always have to do more or get better.
And do you think that comes from from comparing? Like comparing, and because sometimes, comparing is not always a negative thing, but do you think that comes from trying to measure up to someone else's success, maybe?
Well, for me, no. I just think it's how can I put this? I think it comes from trauma for me.
Okay.
Childhood trauma. Always, when I was younger, always wondered why certain things happened to me and not others. So it always made me feel like, oh, well, maybe because they are, you know. So let me say this. So if my dad wasn't really there when I was a kid, so I was like, well, why not? Why is he not here for me? Maybe I wasn't enough. So it was stuff like that. So when other things happened in life, I always internalized these things like I wasn't enough. What's wrong with me? That you did this or this person did that. Not necessarily comparing myself to what somebody else is having, but just to that hurt that I endured or the inadequacy I felt because X, Y, and Z. Okay.
So for other people, though, do you think that can be?
I think it can be. Yeah.
Can't say that. I'm trying to think if I've ever dealt with it. Because I've always kind of been just a what you see is what you get kind of person. But like we were just saying about, sometimes I guess it is needed in certain situations. But I don't really look at that as what they call it, code switching. I guess it is imposter though. So it would fall along the lines of that. I always say though, like some people, like I have friends or people that I know, and I'll say, you know, people like you get us in the room. People like me keep us in the room.
Everybody have their role.
Yeah. So it's definitely needed at times. But in this aspect, as far as your personal values, I feel like it definitely has to be a thing where you have to know who you are. So you have to, that's why I asked about if you think it's a thing of comparing, you know, like you see what such and such is doing and it's like, okay, that's what I want to do. But is that what you really want to do?
Right.
Like, because once you get there, you may not even like it, you know, because you're doing it for the fact that, okay, that brought this person success. That may not be the actual path for you. Yeah. So
for me, I can say that, and in my mind, I went straight to business, right? So in a personal aspect, when I was younger, I think I suffered more or less imposter syndrome because of those childhood traumas. But I think in my personal relationships, I think I got that cornered. But when it comes to like work or business things and like professional stuff, I think, I still find myself in that in that realm sometimes, feeling like I'm the smallest person in a room sometimes.
Yeah.
And not that, and a lot of times I have more experience and knowledge than most people at the table, but for whatever reason, it seeps in at times.
I was listening to Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp podcast today, and it was an old episode, but it was Tabitha Brown, and she was saying how it made me think of this because she was saying how like she's from like North Carolina, so she has that southern twang when she talks, and she said, you know, for a long time she conditioned herself where she spoke eloquently, and you know, and it took her a long time to really just appreciate who she was. So she was like, you know, at one point she spoke one way when she was home, but to the world, like if they was in her home and her husband, they'd be like, well, who is this woman? And so she was like, you know, she broke herself out of that because that is who she is, you know, that's where she's from. But you know, in society sometimes a lot of things are frowned upon, so that was, but I just watched it listened to it early today while I was at work.
I think I'm sure there are plenty of reasons people find themselves suffering from there, but ultimately understanding who you are and being comfortable with that is the remedy.
It is.
You know,
it definitely is. Yeah. Which is not easy for everybody.
It's not.
And especially when, if you were a youngin' that was told everything you did was wrong, or, you know, it goes back to like the trauma, like you said. And a lot of people, they're just brought up to think stereotypes, for instance. It's a lot of stereotypes that people are labeled as, and it's like, oh, you don't even act that way, and it's like, why would I? Like, where did you know?
Yeah.
You know, I remember a young lady told me one time, it was a situation, and the way that I reacted, she was like, oh, I didn't expect you to react like that. And I looked at her in the face, I was like, but you don't even know me, so how did you expect, what?
Right.
You don't know me like that, so what did you expect exactly? You don't even know me. I don't talk to you, like, I don't interact with you. So what did you expect?
Right. And now I want to know why.
That was your own, but that was your own stuff. That ain't have nothing to do with me.
Not at all.
And then when I said it, it's like, oh, well, no, I didn't mean, you probably should have just been quiet, because you know I'm going to call you out on it, so we're not going to do that. But, I have found, though, people have, it's so many people out here walking around imposter syndrome, because it's like rinse and repeat, like what you see on social media, what you know, that's what it's, and it's like, no, because I feel like a lot of our women, they all look the same now, big butts, flat stomachs, navels up here. I said up here. I mean, really though, you know, and I'm not, the thing is, I'm not against none of it if that's what you like to do, but it's like, how many of you really that's what you like to do?
Are you doing it for yourself?
Or for society, really, in real life, because this is what they say you're supposed to, like, they've changed, particularly like with black women, I feel like they've changed the beauty standard to fit a certain narrative, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. Like.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, if you're doing it for you, and you're not, you know, you're not doing it, you're not comfortable with what you see when you look in the mirror, then fine. But if you're doing it because you don't think they like what they see when they look at you, then of course
that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem, because then you're gonna look in the mirror and not even recognize yourself.
And that's why it goes back to having a positive mindset, not just about life, but about yourself. Overcoming self-doubt, building self-confidence, like all of that plays a part in that. Because when you love you, ain't nothing nobody else can say.
Yeah. And even with remedying it, you have to ask yourself some questions. Like, where do you feel that most anxiety? Because that's, I mean, what leads to it would make perfect sense. When do you most feel that? When you're at home, when you're with this person, when you're at work? Like for me, like I said, at professional settings, I would feel that way for the most part. Not so much outside of that. And understanding what type of environment you're in, and just being conscious of it, you know, so that you can be intentional to do some self-talk. Like, if you got to go in the bathroom and look in the mirror, like,
you got this.
Affirmations. You got this. I am enough. You know, and self-talk until you believe it, or until you feel it, you know. It may be something hard to admit that you deal with, or something, you know, that you have to do to be able to go into that room and really be the great person that you are, be just awesome just the way you are, then you have to do that. You have to do that. It's not easy. It's not easy, but yeah. It'll be necessary, especially if you want to succeed, because you can't just be small in every room. You can't think that you fall short in every area. You'll never do anything. You'll never try anything new. That's going to be fear. That's, you know, being every time, being created every time.
Fear is a killer.
Yeah. And think about the things that you have achieved. Well, I did this. Maybe I can do this. You know, maybe I do know enough. Maybe I am enough. So, just those type of self-talk conversations. So, next is
to create a sense of purpose.
Creating a sense of purpose.
What does that look like?
Creating a sense of purpose when you really identify like some of your goals,
attributes.
If you don't have a vision or a goal that you're trying to accomplish, whether it be personal, physical, spiritual, whatever, what are you just existing at that time. You just allowing life to happen.
Yeah.
When you have goals to reach, you do things to accomplish them. You devise a plan, an execution plan. You get resources. You get input.
You do
get
things on purpose.
counsel. Yes, you do things on purpose to reach this goal. So that gives you purpose. You know. So even if you wake up today and you only have purpose for today, sometimes you gotta start where you have to start at. But that's just giving yourself that.
Yeah.
And that'll help you stop allowing life to just happen and you make life happen. Because I can say all day long I want to be a millionaire because I do. But if I don't get up and
work towards them,
exactly, that I'm not saying I'm going to claim that I'm going to reach it, but I'm not saying you won't know unless you get up and try it.
Right.
You know.
Right. So don't be afraid of failure.
Right. So if you don't give yourself a purpose to get up, then you'll never achieve those things. Well, you won't have nothing to achieve if you don't set the
goal.
Set the goal. So even when you think about, like sometimes, like I think we discussed last week when I was like, you can give me a whole book this big, but if you break it down into 12 chapters, 12 individual books, I'm more subjected to do one thing at a time. So if you know that there's a goal that you want to reach in the next year, next 5 years, next 10 years, you gotta break it down. You have to break it down, or it can become overwhelming. And then if you suffer with imposter syndrome, it's really going to seem like it's so far-fetched.
And I'm gonna add instant gratification. We live in a world where that has become. I don't want to say that people don't want to work towards anything. I mean, of course, if I can blink my eyes and have it, why wouldn't I? But we live in a world where instant gratification it is actually the deterrent for a lot of things for people, because it's like, oh, it's taking too long to get it, and it's like, but you will appreciate it that much more if you put the work in. And
what they call it, the microwave generation. Microwave generation.
Yeah.
Because nothing that comes easy is ever really worth it. Yes, I think we all would love to wake up and have all the desires of our hearts. But are you going to really appreciate it if you just wake up and it's given to you? You know, it's like when we do classes and stuff like that, like even, you know, for life coaching, when you give it away for free, people what? They fumble it. They don't take it as serious. They might show up.
Might not.
When people actually pay for things, they tend to see it through. They tend to care more and to be more assertive about it. So in doing so, it makes it worth it. You know, a lot of stuff I would do for free, but it's going to go unappreciated. More than likely it is.
Yeah. Probably.
More than likely it is. So again, when you put your hands to the plow and do that work yourself, not only are you going to appreciate it more, but you're still that's your purpose for that season, for that day, for that month, for that year, for the next 5 years. That's your purpose. That's why writing it down was so important too. Writing it down is so important too. All right. So, embracing and manifesting change. Manifestation. That was my thing for a couple of months.
What?
Manifestation.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Speaking on it, just putting it out there, just how to get it done.
Yeah. It's important to manifest. Again, well, when you manifest, that shows that you believe in yourself. You know, that shows that you, because like we said, I think we said it last week, like, why attempt to do something that you don't think you can do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why waste your time on anybody else's? Like, if you're gonna say, okay, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm such a failure, and it's like, well, that don't even go together. Like, so yeah, you definitely have to manifest change, and embracing it, I feel like, is the most important part, though, because what they say, be careful what you ask for.
Mm-hmm.
So when you manifest it, be ready for, because the change don't always come how we want it. Like, you praying to change that man, and the whole time you the one being changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you definitely have to manifest it and embrace it however it looks when it comes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, we don't even realize we're changing.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we want and where we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're actively pursuing that, you don't really realize the change until it's been a year. I mean, I'm just using it as an example. Like, I just know, like, even for me, when I take a step back, I was always very timid. I was always very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized when I got to a certain age that I would say stuff real quick, fast, and in a hurry that I wouldn't say before because I was so timid. I was so, like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, even if they doing something to me that I don't like. But I realized, like, I didn't like how I felt when those things happened, and I was like, why didn't you speak up? Why didn't you say anything? And then I was like, you know what? I had to build my confidence. I had to understand that I deserved the same ability as everybody else did, because you can sit and tell me what you don't like about me, but I'm just going to sit here and just be like, okay, well, I ain't going to do tick for tack type thing, but no, I'm about to do tick for tack right now, you know.
No, I get that.
Just being able to get to that point, and like, today, Demetra is way different from 20-year-old Demetra, which I should be, right?
Yeah.
But I can't pin when that changed for me. So you just kind of take a step back and look like, oh, at one point in time I wouldn't have said nothing.
I kind of know when mine happened. I ain't no kind of. When I became a mother. Because I didn't tell anybody prior to not July 2nd. I'm not going to say the day she was born, but prior to me finding out I was pregnant, anybody could get it. It didn't matter any way, shape, or form. And then it was like instantly, though, when I found out I was pregnant and I was having a baby, I just became such a softer person. Well, softer.
Yeah.
Light on the but softer. And you just look at life differently.
Yeah.
And then over like the last couple of years, when I manifest change, and I'm embracing that change, changing careers, and well, not technically changing careers, but yeah, doing the complete opposite of what I was doing. Same field, but different environment. So that changed a lot about me, because I had gotten so angry because I hated what I was doing. And even to the point where, like, after I had been at the new job for some months, Corey was like, "Ma, you so much happier." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow. Even the kid noticed it.
Yeah.
Because she said, I would call you at work and say, well, how was your day? And how was work? And I'd be like, work. And so now I'm like, I had a good day. How about you? You know? So I definitely, I do remember, like I said, certain parts of my life where I know I changed for the better. Mm-hmm. Even sometimes where I changed for the worse. I remember those too.
Yeah. So do you think that we offer imposter syndrome, but still imposter syndrome will, that it contributes to people who are under, what's the word I'm looking for? I just lost it. Underappreciated, like in employment, in life, in family, in relationships, that it caused them to stay there, to take it longer. You know what I'm saying? To mm-hmm. take the being unappreciated.
I mean, yes, yeah, and it can be in a good or a bad way. Mm-hmm. Because when you abuse someone, because that's all it is, mm-hmm. is abuse, they build up it's a defense mechanism sometimes. So they can be extra mean or, mm-hmm. you know, it can go different ways. I guess it just really depends upon the situation. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It can.
I can see that, you know. I can see that. Because it's things that I see, like, and have seen over the years. I don't say that I see now, but seen over the years where I could just be like, why would you allow somebody to treat you that way? Or why would you stay? Or, you know, and I could never understand it because my imposter syndrome was different. It manifests differently.
Yeah, it's definitely mm-hmm. It's not going to always look the same. Mm-hmm. And it's probably ways that we haven't even discussed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, like I said, I feel like it depends upon the circumstances. What situation we in?
You work with a bunch of screens. I'm sorry.
Damn, I lost my train of thought. But yes, it definitely makes the situation. It depends upon the situation, I guess. As far as your imposter syndrome is, you know, how you're mm-hmm. dealing with it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, let's say you're in a toxic relationship. And you could be the sweetest, kindest person ever, and think you become this mm-hmm. this I don't give a type person, mm-hmm. and in real life that's not really who you are. Right. But you had to, you had to use that, that's definitely it definitely depends upon the situation.
Yeah,
but that also kind of goes along with life. Because like with myself, if, like we were talking about last week, and I was saying how my child is so forgiving, mm-hmm. and I'm like, yeah, no, I ain't got time for that. But I also understand that I've been through a little bit more life than her, so I am likely to see certain things and be like, I already know how this is gonna go. Mm-hmm. So,
and
but but I still allow her to. I tell her, I ain't gonna pick your friends. I mean, I ain't gonna never put it in harm's way, but maybe you gotta get your feelings hurt to, you know,
to learn for yourself.
And then that can go one of two ways, though. Mm-hmm. That can be that learning lesson for her. She still continues to be the sweet person that she is, mm-hmm. or you become right. Mm-hmm. And so then I feel like it'll take that right person though to bring that, because like for instance, you know, I've been relationship hurt. Mm-hmm. I feel like it took for me to meet Sean to let that go. I've been friend hurt. I feel like I met you and that I was able to let that go. So it really just depends upon the situation. Like in relationships, you're with someone and certain things happen, and you do. Sometimes you become a different person, not always for the better, but just to simply to deal with that situation.
Yeah.
And then to go back to what you said, why do you allow all of that? Like, you let it change you when you should have just been getting out of it in real life. But then that happens, and then you end up treating the next man, because like I said, when we did the relationship episode, I almost didn't talk to my husband. Like, I was like, no, I'm good. Like, go ahead, get off my face. You know, but, and that was because of the hurt that someone else had did to me. So, had I not, had my cousin, I've been like, girl, don't think she knows what she was talking about. Nah. But no, for real, like, so yeah, it can. And I probably came off real hard towards him, which that is not really who I am. Like, I tell people, like, people meet me and they think I'm mean, which I don't understand why, because I'm not mean. I'm just not mean. I'm not. That's why I don't be understanding it. But I don't know. Maybe I do have some imposter syndrome. I don't know, because people, I'm telling you, people be like, I have in my life so many times people have been like, when I first met you, I thought you was so mean, and then once I got to know you, I just was like, and I'd be like, well, what gave you that impression? Yeah. I barely, if I don't know you, I'm really not gonna say too much to you.
And maybe that's it. Or maybe you can be nonchalant about things.
Well,
maybe they took that as
when in real life I just really don't.
Yeah.
Certain stuff I'm not digesting, so it's just like, okay, moving right along.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely feel like imposter syndrome depends upon your circumstances and the situation that it's being applied to. Because again, like I said, sometimes it's just a defense mechanism for people.
And I can see that.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. I think just with, all the topics that we've discussed and everything just leads up to who you want to be, who you desire to be, and you actually being
excuse me,
sold out for yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it be one way or another, because what may be a personal value to you may not be the same for me. So you just buying into what you want, who you want to become, and working on that.
Actively.
Yeah, actively working on it. Yeah. It's not going to happen overnight, because you didn't get here overnight. It's going to be a lot of unpacking that needs to be done.
Definitely.
Some healing, some
forgiveness.
Forgiveness
for yourself
and others. A lot of something to do my
sorry.
It's fine. Train of thought off. Unpacking, unlearning some things. And one of the challenging things about that is if you're in a relationship with somebody where you need to change who you are when it comes to relationships. So if you're married or you're in a committed relationship and you need to change, say for instance, if your partner, your significant other, could come, and I'm just going to use this as an example, can come in the house every day, expecting you to have dinner on the table, right? But when you get home, if they're there first, they don't do the same, but you still, whatever. I'm not saying for those who the other partner don't cook or you don't want that person to cook, but I'm just using this as an example. And you like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of when I do certain things, you don't do the same for me, and so now you wanna you tired of it. You don't want to be that way anymore. And that person will look at you like you got 10 heads because you've been doing it. You've been doing it. What's the problem now? What's changed now? Now you've changed. You're changing, and you want to change some things about your life that you don't like to happen, right? How do you expect that person to behave? And I'm not saying that like you shouldn't do these things. I'm just like, what does that look like?
So for me, I feel like it's definitely a matter of conversation, and I say that because we do change, and Sean and I literally had this conversation, and it was probably one of the harder conversations that we had to have. And I said to him, you know, and not just with me, with both of us, like what our needs was when we first met, what our needs was when we got married, what our needs are today from each other. They're going to change. They're constantly going to change because things are going to happen. And this is why I don't believe in that 50-50. I tell Sean all the time, sometimes one day he may have to be 80 and I only got 20% to give. And the next day it might be vice versa. But we need to be able to be there for one another.
Right.
And so with that, that's why I feel that way, because it has to be a conversation that has to be had, and you both just have to be willing. So just because I'm going through a change don't mean that you have to be going through a change. But I feel like if it's something that it comes up, maybe that's a good time for both of y'all to look at what it is that you really want in that moment. Because again, like I said, what it was when we met, it shouldn't be the same right now after we've been dated, got married, you know, and things happen in between that time. You know, one of the hardest times of my life since we've been married, I lost my father. And for a long time, Sean did have to be 80, and I was 20. Shit, he might have been 90, and I was 10, because I didn't know. Now, I was able to still put on a brave face and go out the house and still, you know, but he knew. Like, he was there for the breakdowns when I'm in the middle cooking, in the middle of the kitchen cooking, and I just said, he like, what is happening? And yeah, that's just one of the, so I feel like that's what it looks like. Like, it looks like a conversation that has to be had, that, and I think that's the biggest problem though, like in relationships or with people. Like, just because you're with someone, don't ever let someone make you think that you aren't allowed to change. You know, your needs and your wants are allowed to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm so glad that's how where you went at with it, because that's where I was trying to get to, because people don't always understand. If we're in a relationship and I'm changing, I still owe you that respect to have at least a conversation with you. Yeah, I'm changing regardless you even like it or leave it. You know, that's not the attitude to have in a relationship. You know, and that person needs to understand where you coming from. And I guess one of the hardest things is if that person say,
"Fuck it,
I don't want this change. Yeah. I don't want to deal with this. I'm used to this, X, Y, and Z. This is one of the things that kept me here or keeps me here or whatever." If that's gone, then.
But see, in that type of situation, I just feel like it probably is best for you to go then.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have.
Because ultimately, if you stay, you're gonna have to compromise you. And you should never have to compromise you. No. And the same thing goes for the other person. But I feel like as adults at this point in life, you should already be an understanding. Like, I mean, I don't want to say, an understanding. Like, we know that what we wanted at 20, we didn't want at 30. What we wanted at 30, we didn't want at 40. What we want at 40, we're probably not going to want at 50.
Exactly.
And so on and so forth. Because, again, I think we've talked about this before, too. Like, what's important changes. What is important changes. In my 20s, the only thing that was important was living my best life.
Right.
In my 30s, becoming a mother, what was important was being a mother. You know, in my 30s, becoming a wife, that was important. Now, they're going to always be important. Those things are always going to be important, but I also have to, it's still me. So I still have to think about me in the midst of all of this.
Right. And the reason I asked that one question is this guy that I was talking to one day. And he talked about how his wife got up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, and she cooked him breakfast, and he had like a manual labor job, and so the guys who he worked with, they might stop at, she had breakfast for them. He came home for lunch, and maybe, I don't know if she was a stay-home wife or what, but he was basically like, yeah, she gonna keep on doing that. So I'm looking like, well, what if she don't? What if one day she wake up and like, she tired of doing that. She done did it for 40 years. He looked at me like I had 10 heads. Like it was, and she better not type thing,
So then you better not ever change nothing. And see, that's what I'm saying. That's not even realistic.
But what if he doesn't change anything and she just say one day, maybe I want to get a part-time job, or I'm cook for me, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe you come home from work one day and cook dinner. Maybe she do work. I don't know what her situation is. And he just, no. I wonder how that would play out. Would he be willing to change for her? Or vice versa, it may be a woman in that situation. Maybe she's a breadwinner and she expects her husband to be home doing X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C.
See, and that's where I feel like it becomes a really fine line, because we are not property.
But see, people, they don't, I don't think they get that. This is my wife.
They don't.
This is my husband.
I can say they don't. That's why people out here killing people when they leave each other.
Yeah. Both of us are our own individuals.
And I have the right to change my mind whenever, for whatever.
So,
and you have the right to not go along with it, but I would hope that you would try to get to the bottom of why. Or, again, a conversation has to be had.
Yes, or some, a little give and a little take, compromise.
And especially with us as women, because we go through all this hormonal stuff. And I don't even try to blame nothing on that, but it's real.
Yeah, it is real. Yes, it is. So it's just like things like that, making sure that you have, we always say to write it out. And if it's something that's going to be a dramatic change, like if you've been with somebody for 20 years and you come home like, I don't want to be with you no more. Yeah, you need to have a safe conversation, maybe go to therapy. Have somebody there. Do stuff the right way, because change is good, but it don't always feel good for everybody involved.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But, and see, well, I ain't going to say normally, because I have never been in that particular situation, but even like with the example you just gave, you knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
He or she ain't just come home today and say they ain't want to be.
Everything was just going peachy clean.
Everything was good, was it?
And then she just said, I don't want to do this anymore. No.
Oh, so the fact that you bopped upside our head last week don't have nothing to do with it.
Well, you've been running around with Karen, Sharon, and Trina. And you got little Bobby the third, fourth, fifth, and none of them ain't her kids.
I mean, and the same thing goes, vice, like with Sean and I remember once upon a time, we used to have the same argument, and it always boiled down to me. And I had to really get my shit together, though. Like, I had to be like, okay, hear this man out. And, I never wanted to, I didn't see it, and it was like, But it was conversations that had to be had. He had to be able to feel comfortable enough to tell me how he felt, and I had to be in a place to be able to receive it. We probably did not the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time. The sixth time we got it together though. But it was one of those things where we had to have the hard conversations. That's why I say it's the conversations that just need to be had. That they're never easy. But you have to give your partner grace.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is so important. And in a lot of relationships, and see, I kind of feel like that's like what you said, like if that's your end all to be all, that's not giving your partner grace, because that's not, I mean, if it's something, depending upon what it is, you know. Again, you bop me upside my head, I got every right to be like, go. But if we talking about because she not cooking breakfast no more, like, that's like, come on now. Right. You know, it's like, you can't be in a relationship and it's my way or the highway. That's just not. Whether you the breadwinner or not, that is not how that works. But some people, that's all they know.
Yeah.
When they feel like that's all they have to offer, is being the breadwinner per se, you know.
So you gotta do more than that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It's so much more to a relationship than that. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, and Sean even had to tell me that, because he like, it was once upon a time where it was like, because I am the type, like, I buy gifts, but that's how
that's your love language.
That's my love language. But and so the crazy part is, not really. That's, well, it's not my love language, because I don't want gifts. But that's how I like to give. Yeah, I like to give gifts. That's how you show. Yeah. So now his love language was not gift receiving. That's what I'm saying. So his love language was just intimacy. Which one is it? One-on-one time, like whatever that is, whatever they call it. So he like, thanks for the gifts, but I just want 5 minutes with you, you know, just the two of us. And it I don't know why it was so hard for me to grasp the concept. I don't know why it was, but eventually I was like, damn. Now, if I had a man who ain't want to spend no damn time with me, I would have a problem. And me and Keena have this conversation all the time, because she goes through the same thing, where it's like, you know, we have men who actually want to be in our company.
You ain't got to fight for it.
Yeah, you ain't got to fight for it. But yeah, but also in that sense, I used to tell him, like, you got to give me some grace, though. Like, it can't just be you don't say anything.
And then rah.
Yeah.
Out of the blue.
And then it's like, and then when you rah, it's like you throwing them, boy, you hurling the insults, and I'm like, ho. Like, we should be able to
have a conversation,
have a disagreement even without it having to be like, I'm not gonna call you out your name. I mean, he doesn't call me out my name or anything, but like, I'm not gonna call you out your name. I'm not gonna throw up in your face, you know. Like, I don't operate like that. So yeah, it just becomes it's a conversation. You have to, communication is key.
Yeah.
And communication is not just always saying words, it's also hearing words and understanding, getting clarification on what it is that they mean. Reassuring your mate even. Like with Sean and I, when I say to him about him not giving me grace, I'm like, if he has a bad day, we've been together long enough that I know when I talk to you on the phone, when I see you, that you're having a bad day. And I'm like, babe, come, have a seat. Let's talk. Give me a kiss, you know. If I'm having a bad day, he gonna match my energy. We ain't never gonna get nowhere like that, because now we just both on 10.
Mad, you mad.
Yeah, and it's like, and I have told him that, like, you don't give me grace. And it's like, you can have a bad day, and you can have a bad day, you can ignore my phone calls all day, you can do all of that, and I just supposed to take it and be okay with it. And because I am like that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let you have that time. But if I have a bad day, don't even let me look at you wrong, and you gonna be in this, and then we bumping heads, and I'm like, well, what is happening? Mm-hmm. So it's definitely you have to look.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's a lot.
Yeah, and I think even when people don't understand, when somebody tell them how they feel, like this is how I feel, this is how you made me feel. Don't get on defense. Like kind of, say, okay, well, my intention, because it's not about your intention, it's your impact, right? Mm-hmm. My intention wasn't to, to hurt your feelings, this, that, and the other. But let me internalize what I did. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if this is something that I can be intentional not to do again, And I think a lot of, not with you and Sean, but just saying in relationships, any type of relationships, because some people might be like, well, what's she all on her feelings for? All I said was X, Y, and Z.
But you don't know what that might have stemmed, what that might have brought up for me, or what that might have stemmed from.
Exactly. So,
especially when you have people that you ask them not to do things and they do it anyway.
Yeah, it's total disrespect.
Well, I remember the time I told you that time me and Sean was fussing, girl. This is some years back, and I called him a bitch. Girl, that thing was sitting in the living room. He said, "Come here for a minute." I was like, he said, I was ready, John. What? He was like, don't ever in your life call me out my name again. And I was like, okay. Nothing that a little conversation could affect, because he was dead serious. I was like, ow. Okay. And I have never called him out his name again. And in the moment, I don't even know what we was fussing about. Who knows? Because we used to fuss all the time back then. Lord Jesus. We did, girl. We used to get down with the get down. He pack up and he leaving, and I'd be like, here we go. Once again, fussing about nothing. Don't even be fussing about nothing. I don't even feel like we ever had a real big, you know what I mean, anything. Mm-hmm. It's been big. Mm-hmm. It was blown into something big, but it was never really about anything. Mm-hmm. But the ones that were about, just him expressing to me how he felt, and me being dumb sometimes and just not really being able to comprehend it, and then that just becomes bigger. Yeah. Whereas though now I'm like, oh no. And not making an excuse though, even with that, I was never that kind of person. So it's crazy because I say God gave me like a clingy child and a husband. Mm-hmm. That's where they both just love to be around me, be up on me, and I'm just like, not so much anymore, but
right.
Initially it was a lot. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not used to this.
Yeah.
So
I've always been very affectionate. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need you to buy me nothing. I don't want to go nowhere. I just lay on you. Just like when I came in today, like I just wrapped my arms around and lay my head on his chest. Just give me a few seconds. Mm-hmm. I just want to touch you. I just want to feel you. I want to smell you. Like,
see, and I'm like that now.
Presence. Yeah,
I am like that now. Sean, no, I'd be like, I need a hug.
And he cuddles sometimes. He's not a cuddle bunny like I am.
I'm not.
I don't get up under his back, all of that other stuff.
I ain't none of that.
He never shuns me, but I know when he probably be like, all right, girl.
I have to be intentional about it because I know that he likes it. So I make sure Yeah.
When he gets his moves, I can tell when he's had a long day, and he just want to lay on my chest or something like that. Just I was like, I always promise I'd be a soft place for you to land. You know. So I do my best to do that. And so
that right there is what I think was the issue for us for a long time. Mm-hmm. I was not a soft place. I was hard. I had to unlearn some things. Now, I'm in my soft girl era.
Well, I ain't never got out of mine.
I'm in my soft girl era. I don't want to be. Well, see, I was not in the soft girl era because I was Miss Independent. I ain't need a nigga for nothing.
Yeah,
all I needed, I just wanted, yes.
But I always wanted
Yeah, no,
I was always just that person. I was always very affectionate.
I barely wanted. And go home. That's all I'm saying. You staying the night? I mean, it was
what it was.
And and again, it goes back to, like we were saying, past hurt, things that I had been through. I didn't start out that way,
right?
But it was who I had became.
Yeah.
And as I said, now I'm in my soft girl era. I don't want to be. I tell Sean all the time, I want to be a stay-at-home. John, I just want to be a stay-at-home. That's what I tell him. I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't want to be a stay-at-home wife. I just want to stay at home. I want to be a kept woman. A kept woman don't cook and clean. She got maids and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you know what he told me? He don't care what I do when I get off work. Some ignorant shit. He said, I don't care what you be when you get off.
Be a stay-at-home dad.
Whatever, right? You can be. But you know, but he say that if my baby became, if he became like a millionaire, he'd be like, girl, quit that job. I know he would.
Girl, you wouldn't even wait for him to tell you.
Girl, he wouldn't have to.
You'd be like, oh yeah, babe, I put my 2 weeks in already.
2 weeks, girl, please. They getting 30 minutes. I'm at work right now. I'm clocking out in 30 minutes and just taking the time to erase all of my personal stuff off of your computer.
Oh my goodness.
And write down my passwords for the other stuff that y'all gonna need. So, that's funny.
Yeah.
But no. Well, we had kind of got back to the imposter syndrome. But even with the developing a positive mindset, overcoming self-doubt, building self-confidence, setting healthy boundaries, improving communication skills through active listening, dealing with imposter syndrome, creating a sense of purpose, and embracing and manifesting change. All of these, although we are using them to apply as an action plan, to, you know, live the life that you want to live, or learning who you are, this can also be effective in relationships.
Absolutely.
Because once you get through these things and really, truly, honestly identify them, honestly with yourself, you can apply it to every aspect of your life.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Even with those little toxic kids.
Yep. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
So what is your takeaway?
My takeaway is that you can live the life. I can live the life that I want. And what that looks like for me is based off of my personal values and what my desires are, and that not only that I know that I can accomplish this life that I want, but doing so it still may impact others, right? So as I'm growing and transforming into this version of myself, that I'm just to be intentional of and aware of me and others who that may impact.
Okay. And everything you just said, and my takeaway, the overall, embrace, manifest, and be the change. It is so important, because sometimes we wish for things that we're not ready for.
That's
So it's very important to be intentional about what it is that you want. And when it happens, be ready for it. Whether it's professional, in relationships, just life in general.
Yeah. Put the pen right there. Boom.
That's it. That's it. I ain't even gonna say no more.
That right there.
Booyah.
Yes. Yes.
Boom, boom,
All
ting.
that. All to that.
All right. So next week we will be back with a new topic.
Yes.
We're done with the personal values.
Yes.
I do feel as though this was a very important topic that needed to be discussed, particularly for our young people, some older people also. But it is important that you know what it is that you want to do and how to achieve that. Life is short. Take advantage of each day. And thank you all for tuning in.
Yep. Ditto.
Was
and
produced
every week.
Yeah, and every week. Was produced by Infinite Social Solutions. They specialize in website registration, social. What is happening? It's the gum. Okay, wait a minute.
No gum next week.
I know, my mouth was wet. Social media management, website hosting, and computer repair. You can contact John Williams, owner and IT specialist at 443-681-9306 or by email at info@infsocialsolutions.com.